It is clear as day that some of the world's most successful people aren't necessarily super good looking, while on the other hand, there are some people who are nowhere near as successful as them who are extremely good looking. But I still strongly believe that having looks and appearing sharp is an extremely dangerous weapon when used correctly. You might be wondering who I am. My name is MoisesNovaAd. I am an 18-year-old who started his first business venture at 17, and now I'm just documenting my way to the top. I'm gonna tell you guys a story about two guys named Alex and Jamie. Alex and Jamie were in New York, and they were both applying to work in one of the most successful tech startups in New York. And Alex, being the more charismatic and more attractive one, he was able to get the job, and Jamie got declined. And Jamie, being saddened by this and he was depressed for some time, he decided to use his creativity and his knowledge that he had to his advantage. So he decided to start up his own tech startup. And at first, it was going decent. He wasn't making too much money, but after some time, after all of his skills started compounding, he started to make a lot of money, and a lot of companies in New York were seeing Jamie's success, and they wanted to invest in his company. So after some time, Jamie's startup really started picking up, and about after a year or so, he eventually ended up surpassing the software company that Alex worked at. And they met at a cafe a couple years later, and Alex was extremely surprised by all the stuff that Jamie had done. And Alex asked Jamie for a piece of advice, and Jamie told him that stop relying so much on your looks and start relying more on your competence and what it is that you can actually provide to the marketplace. Moral of the story: yes, looks will get you so far, but at the end of the day, the value that you bring to the marketplace and you actually being able to do something with yourself is a lot more dangerous than you think. Even with that being said, being good looking can help you tremendously when it comes to first impressions. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the halo effect, but the halo effect is basically where we see people in a better light simply because of their appearance or their looks. A very good example of this, I'm sure you guys have heard of it, is when Jeremy Meeks, a convicted felon, was let out of prison or let on bond simply because he went viral because of his looks. And now he's dating the daughter of a billionaire. That's just one example of people being more trusting and more, I guess you could say, nice to people who are better looking. Another way that you can think of this is if you think back to high school and you think of who the hottest chick was, can you think of the time where someone was making fun of her or she was being bullied? I'm pretty sure you can't. Us as humans, for some reason, are more perceptive to people who are better looking. Don't ask me the science behind it. I haven't really studied it, but it's just how we are. We see people who are, I guess, nicer on our eyes and people who aren't, I guess you could say, harsh on the eyes, and we just treat them better. And people disagree with that and they don't want to do it, but it's in our human nature to do it. So, I mean, you really can't argue with the facts. Attractive people tend to be a lot more convincing and better at negotiating, from what I've noticed. Of course, I'm not saying that being good looking is the key to negotiation, because the key to negotiation is understanding the psychology behind what makes a good negotiation and understanding what it is that the pie is, but that's a different topic for a different day. But we'll leave it at this. You're in a room and there's two salespeople and they're both trying to pitch you something, and they both have the same capacity on sales and they both understand the same things at the same level. They have no edge, but the only difference is that one is slightly better looking than the other. Who do you think you're going to be choosing, and who do you think you're going to be going to be sold by? It's probably going to be the better looking one, and it goes hand in hand with the halo effect. Two guys can be in the exact same level at the exact same time in the exact same place, but you're probably going to be picking the better looking one simply because of his looks. And you could argue that no, I wouldn't. I would choose personality and all this other stuff. But when it comes to game time and it comes to you actually being in the situation, I promise you will fold if there is somebody like Vito Basso and there's somebody on the other side who is just a little dwarf. You're probably going to be choosing Vito Basso. Because to be fair, I feel like a lot of people underestimate how important your first appearance is. So just take that into account. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, looks do not matter as much as you probably think they do. At the end of the day, the thing that really matters the most is the amount of value and the amount of competence that you have. And this has been proven time and time again by people who are at the top of the food chain, who just simply aren't as attractive as some other people are. I can promise you, if you're a 10 out of 10 that brings nothing to the table versus you're someone who is a 7 out of 10 who brings a lot to the table, people will choose you over anyone. Of course, I know there are times where I think that looks are everything because just things aren't really going your way. And like the story with Alex and Jamie, where Alex got the job and Jamie didn't, was simply because Alex was more charismatic and better looking. But at the end of the day, Jamie became a lot more successful than him simply because of his knowledge and the amount of competence that he had and the amount of value that he was able to bring to the marketplace. But if you want to know one thing that's for certain, is that having money immediately makes you a bit more attractive, even if it's not by that much. And if you want to make money, I would actually recommend for you to invest, but not in the things that you would probably think about investing in. So if you want to know a little bit more about that, I would recommend for you to check this video out. Or don't. I don't really care. Peace.